Okay, welcome back everyone. Patch 11.0.7's PTR is complete. We've played it for dozens of hours, so today you're going to learn everything that is coming in the patch and what you need to know. So first off the zone, and the easiest way to describe the Siren Isle is Forbidden Reach 2.0, though to be honest they've actually cooked quite a bit more with it. It's an old Cultera and Azerite mine that is surrounded by myth and mystery that you basically dig into as you're there, and it's also home to a now exposed singing crystal that is suspiciously similar to Bellular, and as we'll quickly learn, it is under siege by the forces of darkness, which of course will mean here Ashara's Naga and a whole bunch of angry Vrykul. Now they are both there to get the item that we also are there to get. It's a new borrowed power ring from an ancient Iron Vrykul tribe, and it's called Circe's Circlet. And this Circlet is the major patch feature in terms of player power. It's a customizable ring just like the Onyx Amulet from Dragonflight. It's actually upgradable all the way to item level 639 through quests alone. But of course, you may remember just how badly balanced the Onyx Amulet was back during Dragonflight, so there is some good news here, right? It's only got 3 different slots with 4 options each, so it's not as completely unwieldy as the Amulet was. There should be no crazy builds that do absolutely unhinged amounts of damage. Basically, you just have various choices of stats, shields, heals, and damage procs. It's also an insane new piece of technology. Yes, the year is 2024, and finally, we can have rings that actually show up on our character model. So I suppose you can expect to see a whole new set of visible rings on the trading post before too long. And well, speaking of features, get a load of this one from today's sponsor. They're one of my favorites because they allow you to actually benefit from the law and your rights. Let me explain, right? Here's the deal. Data brokers exist in the internet and they harvest your data any way that they can because they are, I think, unscrupulous. Now, they then sell that data, and that can be sold to anyone, and that can mean you'll get robocalls, you'll get spam, there can be security vulnerabilities, especially social engineering, the more that people find out your data. And whenever a big corporate data leak happens, well, that data often ends up being gobbled up by the brokers. And that is where incogni.com/Bellular Warcraft comes in. It is a superpower. You see, the point is we have a legal right to have our data taken down from a company. You can literally go, write up the email, do all the things and send it. But that's going to take you hours. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to spend my free time doing that. And even if you do that, you can be recollected again. So here's what Incogni does. It scans the brokers, automatically sends the takedown requests, and it adds you to suppression lists. And best of all, it will continually rescan to keep your data down. So here's my dashboard, 114 sent, 8 in progress, 106 completed. I'm on 21 suppression lists, and you can see the spikes in the graph as an example, I added a new home address and email address to it, and just them doing the continual rescanning. It's awesome, and the upshot is really simple. My data is not being spread about the place without my knowledge or consent. I care about that. I don't want that data going all over the place. I'm sure you don't either. Incogni means you can actually benefit from the laws that have been designed to protect us, but that we're just not able to access because they're jumping through hoops and it's all arcane bollocks. So 60% off the annual plan at incogni.com/Bellular Warcraft. I use them personally, and I very much have kept my annual subscription. Let's talk about how you get and upgrade the ring. So you pick it up during the intro quest, which is real easy, and then a new quest in the chain will unlock every week afterward, and those will grant you the rest of the upgrade items. And after 6 weeks, you'll max out your ring, and that will unlock full flying in the zone. Now, that then will leave the gem slots to fill in, and these gems come from certain quests and weeklies, like a sort of fill the bar wrapper quest and the major excavations. Basically, you're doing things around the island. It's kind of like a group donation thing, where the group donation will spawn an elite rare, and then you kill that for weekly rewards. That sort of stuff. Now, we don't know exactly where all the gems will be gotten from just yet, but I do expect they'll be fairly easy for anyone to pick up. Okay, so that's the ring covered. This time, honestly, it's pretty damn simple. Now, the next big thing you're going to be getting in the Isle is lots and lots of flame-blessed iron. This is broadly used for 2 different things. Number 1 is Transmog, and there is a shitload of it. And number 2 is, of course, some Catchup Gear. Now, you'll get this currency in the usual ways. Mobs will drip feed it to you when you kill them. You can do daily quests. There are, of course, rares and treasures that will give you larger chunks, but also the island has actually got 2 different versions. There's the regular island with all of its activities, but then there's also the Stormy variant. And in the Stormy variant, you'll find extra dailies, rares, and treasures there by completing the weekly world quest and unlocking the special assignment. And then you can basically just swap between the 2 different versions of the Isle. Essentially, right, the Stormy version is the more elite, dangerous one. Now, the Storm actually blocks flying even when you've got the ring, and it's full of elite mobs, so it's basically designed to be an MMO where you play it with other people. A shocking innovation for WoW. Okay, next, Catchup Gear. Honestly, it's a bit lackluster this time round, but being real, I don't think any of us really needed more Catchup Gear. We're all swimming in it. This time, it's item level 584 Veteran Gear, which isn't that great, but it is at least warbound, so you can farm this up in your main and just get any new character ready to go instantly, where it can then go into, say, its tier 8 bountiful delves to gear up the normal way. Now, random items will drop from all different sources in the Isle, but the guaranteed way to buy that gear is, of course, with the Flame Blessed Iron. The good news is, it's actually really cheap. You're going to have more than enough for a full set of this gear in under an hour of cleaning up the Isle's weeklies. Blizzard have clearly designed it so if you want a new alt, well, you can just get it geared pretty instantly. The other side then is Transmogs, and honestly, these are quite gorgeous. There's the Earthen Rep that sells a whole ton of 11.0 Earthen set recolors, and the Arathi Rep that has got a new set that is themed after basically the Arathi stuff, but it's way more low-key. I think it's real nice. Then there's the far too relaxed-looking Goblin that sells, you guessed it, a bunch of Goblin-themed gear. That includes recolors as well of the Trading Post gear from the summer, and also the Hoverboard mount. And then finally, there's the Tortolan. The bad news is there isn't Tortolan gear in the game, but the good news is it sells absolutely everything else. That means full pirate transmog sets, Naga transmogs, Vrykul themed ensembles, weapons, the whole 9 yards. Now, the overall cost here could be a little bit alarming. That's because it's 82,900 Flame Blessed Iron. That is a lot of Flame Blessed Iron. It's probably a good month, maybe a bit more of just dailies and doing all of the stuff, depending on just how hard you go with your different alts. Now, you might look at that and think, dear Lord Blizzard, what are you doing to us? That said, the actual individual items are fairly cheap. You can get a whole bunch of stuff that you can wear in your characters, full sets, ensembles, weapons, in absolutely no time. It's more a testament to how many transmog sets they've put in there, which is good. Usually expansions just leave loads of transmog sets and recolors in the game files, completely unobtainable. But that's not all for transmog. You will get some items without paying, because you can finish a quest to pick up some recolored civilian earthen sets for your dwarves. Also, our peers, they've made some really cool items for you, actually. There are a bunch of role-playing items from the vendors here, and they'll do things like have you pray with some light-based effects, you can be writing in a book, and there's also a wooden flamenco. For some reason. Let's round off the rest of the cosmetics. So you can also pick up a Snapdragon pet that you can change the color of with different foods. That's actually quite neat, and you'll earn that from doing a quick quest line. Well then, a whole bunch of PTR legends have already figured out the Marmaduke dog pet. The last things on the Isle, though, are the big ticket items, the mounts. We've got Thryer, the Stormcrow. This one's actually quite neat because it was first data mined, I think, just over a decade ago. Pretty impressive. We finally got the damn thing. Getting that takes a whole process of finding it and then farming specific items around the Isle, so it's one of those mounts where if somebody gets it, you know they've actually went and played the game. And then there's the flying pirate ship that is from the meta achievement, which is called I'll Remember You. And speaking of meta achievements, there's actually a new 11.0 meta achievement and one for BFA. It's called You Zal Not Pass, and it gives you the Shadow of Doubt for basically finishing everything released in the War Within so far. Then there's the Battle for Azeroth 1, the one that I think I'll be doing. It's called A Farewell to Arms, and it grants you Janni, which is a mount transformation, so you actually turn into the Loa of Loot, and what's particularly neat is it actually will wield your weapons, so that's fairly unique. And while you're getting that meta achievement, you'll also complete the I'm an Island Time one, which will give you a B mount. And just in case you saw the early headlines, the good news is Blizzard have made it not completely sadistic and insane, because the original requirements of that achievement were at just that when they first hit PTR. But okay, let's go back to the content. There are two major narrative quest lines. One is the fate of the Kirin Tor. In this, we basically see the survivors of Dalaran coming to terms with everything that they have lost, which is pretty much everything because the city's gone. The high bar for this is probably the Blue Dragon quests from Dragonflight, so hopefully they're able to get somewhere near that. The second then is our lead-in to patch 11.1. We're getting a prologue quest that is focused around Orwena, where we learn more about the Haranir. This will somehow connect us to Undermine, which to be honest is a bit of a mystery to me because I was expecting Orwena to be more of a patch 11.2 thing, but hey, there'll be a bunch of day one lore for us all to discover. Now, one of the quieter changes is a huge wave of updates to racial abilities in the game. Now, if you are a meta slave, don't really worry. This is not going to shift the meta and force you to change your characters, but chances are you will feel some of these. Draenei and Worgen get chunky cooldown reductions to their racials, and then the Lightforged, Mag'har, Nightborn, High Mountain, Valpera, and Zandalari also get some hefty buffs to theirs. That being said, they are hefty buffs to extremely weak racials. But the real winner here is the Void Elves. Take a look at this. Your teleport now looks far more clear, it lasts longer, and it moves way faster to the point where it's actually useful as a movement ability. A shocking innovation for the game. Now, going back to some old content, Plunderstorm has now been hard confirmed. It's going to be launching January 14th. And this year we're getting a few major upgrades. Personally, I'm dead excited. Number one, there's a practice lobby. So if the new style of gameplay or the PvP part was overwhelming to you first time round, you can dip your toes in the practice mode. Second then, an improved starting drop. We don't know what that means, but I've got to assume that Blizzard don't want people to just be completely screwed as soon as they start a game. That could be quite large for player retention in this one, because I know a lot of people who stuck with it loved it, but so many just bounced off it because they had a few bad experiences at the start. Third then, you'll probably be able to queue with your own character from inside the game instead of from an entirely different screen. We've got an asset there for an in-game queue option, so hopefully that works. It'll just make it feel a bit more of a cohesive part of World of Warcraft as an event. And then finally, there's the Plunder Store. This is so much better. Instead of a renown track where you just go through the renown track and get items, but it's themed around plunder. This year, you actually get plunder, a resource, and you can freely spend it on whatever items you want in the store, which for some people, who, let's be real, are only doing this because of a few rewards that they want, well, that will be a massive game changer. They won't have to suck through it for as long. Okay, when the patch goes live, it's also going to be Winter's Veil time, and we've not seen everything properly yet in-game, but we do know that this patch has got a wave of upgrades for that event. Data mining so far has only found a few new shirts, sweaters, and a new pet, but I really do have to imagine Blizzard have cooked up a bit more than that. I mean, otherwise, why would they put it in the roadmap thingy? Then, if you're not already tired of time walking because you've had ample opportunity to do it, well, the Turbulent Timeways event is actually coming back at some point too. We do not have a hard confirmed date, but the PTR currently suggests it will start as soon as the anniversary event ends on the 7th of January. This is not completely vestigial though. That's because this time there's going to be a new mount. It's called the Timely Buzzbee, but more importantly, it comes with a wave of vendor updates. So far, we've got new tabards for Kata, Mists, and Wad. We've got new mounts for those, plus Legion, and they're all recolors of existing expansion mounts, and some of them really are quite gorgeous, I think especially the Nightfall Sky Reaver. Finally then, a quick fire through just some smaller updates that are coming in this patch. We're going to get cross-faction queuing, finally in the game, but it will only be there for full groups. Then, the Arathi ear customization is actually in for humans and Kultirans, which basically makes you look like a half-elf. Then a handful of different UI changes are in, say some map icons and some quest log icons that are going to be there at a higher resolution. Blizzard have also changed pings a little bit. Pings can now be macroed by number instead of just the name, and then quest items will also glow when they're in range. So that's all quite nice. Rogues then, you guys are the only ones getting anything specific this time around, but it's quite cool. It's in the form of 4 new pistol shot glyphs, which just give you different pistols. Now, I wish I could tell you where to get them, but nobody actually knows yet, and that does make me think that this is going to be a Plunderstorm related thing. And then finally, the largest change of this patch, truly one that is a game changer for me, that has fundamentally changed my relationship with World of Warcraft. You can go back to the Shadowlands and have a better time. So Shadowlands fans, all of us, we can go and we can now get the Transmog from the Kyrian minigame, The Path of Ascension, and have it no longer be armor locked. So if you suffered through that genuinely awesome sometimes and on paper, but literally unfinished because the guy left the company and nobody else finished it, feature back in the day, well, the good news is you can just travel over there and gobble up some more transmogs for your trouble. Now, before I go, a few things that are not coming in patch 11.07. Unfortunately, profession respecking is not going to be coming here. Blizzard did talk about that. It was initially planned, but they've decided to delay it. I say unfortunately because that really would be nice, but professions are important. If they cocked it up, it would probably be quite bad. So I imagine that'll be patch 11.1. And also in terms of class fixes, well, I think class changes are purely going to be via hot fixes, but I don't feel too bad about that. The 11.2 PTR will be up almost immediately, I imagine, whenever we come back from the Christmas break. So I think there will be class stuff cooking up for then. Okay, that is patch 11.07. Season 1 is also almost over, and because of that, I finally decided to tackle all of the Mythic Plus discourse, and you can check that video out next.